Greetings folks, welcome back to the channel, The Brick Sweethearts. In today's video we have set number 77015 from Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Temple of the Golden Idol. Now before we get too invested into building this set and talking about it, don't forget to subscribe, it really helps us out and it keeps you up to date with all the videos that we will be planning and making and uploading in the future. Make sure to drop us a like, it really helps us out. And don't forget to comment your thoughts about this set. Now, as you can see, it is a pretty big box. It's very thin, so they definitely could have shrunk it down to not make it as long, but we do want to see the entire set displayed on the actual front of it, which gives us a wonderful look at the scene from the Temple of the Golden Idol, where we have Indy going through to get the statue at the very end, and it gives us that very, I guess, stereotypical now, but also amazing scene where he's trying to escape with all the booby traps and of course the massive rolling stone that is chasing him through the tunnel. I don't think this is an official UCS set, but I do believe it might be one of the biggest ones that they've released for the Indiana Jones theme, and it really has a lot of details and interesting bits. So personally, I'm kind of considering this as its own ultimate collector series for the Indiana Jones theme. I just think it fits that criteria, even though it might not be as big as the UCS 8080 or the Millennium Falcon. I think it, holds up to what it's giving us within this box and the details that they put into it. Now, this has always been on the store shelf and it's definitely caught my eye quite a number of times. I didn't actually realize until I bought this set, and I believe it says it on the front here, it does come with a light brick, and we do see, I do think it's actually lit up on the box itself, that there is a display here that's being lit up, which is quite interesting, and I wasn't expecting it. So it's something that when you're in the store, make sure to check the actual box in your hands and not just leave it up there, as you might miss out on some interesting pieces like this. And it's definitely a nice surprise when it finally arrived in the mail and I was able to see that it's not just a display piece, it does have that interesting functionality when it comes to the light brick. Visually, so far on the box, it looks great. It does seem to be made for a display purpose, although I do see some interesting things that are kind of moving here and there, so I am curious to see how those will end up. I do think it's something that I need to get some space set aside on the library, make sure that maybe in front of some nice books, be able to display this just so as a nice little centerpiece for the Indiana Jones theme. Definitely looking forward to opening it up, building what's inside, and checking out these wonderful details. I do believe that this set will be retiring by the end of 2024. I think I've been seeing it as marked as retiring soon. So if you are interested, make sure to check the LEGO site just in case, and if you do intend to get it, don't wait too long, as it probably will be gone before the end of December. For now, I think it's time to open this up. I suspect that this might take a tiny bit longer to build than last week's Indiana Jones set, The Lost Temple. Don't forget to check that out, it really helps us out when you watch all of our videos. And yeah, let's get into it, build it up, and we'll quickly transition and I'll give you my thoughts afterwards. So see you then, folks. Welcome back, folks. Here is the finished product and I have a lot to say about it. Visually, it looks great. The actual construction was interesting, as it did have some nice little additions, which even though I took it as a display piece, it has some functionalities and play features which was unexpected, but also it was fun when I was constructing it and seeing them all come together. There is definitely a lot that I want to go through, so what I think I might do is set up the camera a bit to kind of zoom in, and we'll break it down with the 3 sections that it's built in, go through some of the details, how it went when I was building it, And then afterwards we'll give my overall thoughts, and I'll make sure that I'll turn off the lights and show you the wonderful light piece, which is in this section right where the golden idol is. And yeah, let's zoom in so that you can see more details than far away right now. So here we are with the build set. I know I'm a tiny bit squished into the frame, but that's okay. We need to focus on the set, and what we'll do is we'll break it up into 3 sections and focus on each of the details. We will start off with the first section where I did place each of the minifigs that are kind of shown on the box itself where they're supposed to be interacting. And we do start off with Belloq himself and a Hovitus warrior. I'm not entirely sure what exactly they're called, but I do believe those are the native warriors that Belloq hired to get to the temple and make sure that he's able to steal the idol. And he is of course at the front where he'll be ambushing Indy on their way out. Now the front entrance is quite nice. We do get 3, if I remember correct, 3 spiders that are hanging about. And most importantly, we do get the actual boulder itself, which when Indy triggers the idol, it starts to trigger all the traps that are within the actual temple itself. And as he is running towards the exit, the boulder is supposed to cover up the door and prevent anyone from escaping. So we do have the actual boulder here, and they did create an interesting gear system. And I believe that one of these gears are actually from, well, I don't think it's where they were originated from, but I did encounter it in the AT-AT build, and it's quite nice to see it again and see it in action. Now, if you do notice that each section has, kind of bumped them over there, each section does have these little twisting knobs, which is for the play functionalities, and the very first one is of course for the boulder. Now I can obviously activate it here from the back, but the intent is that you can slightly twist that little knob at the front and it pushes this up and off it goes. The boulder spins all the way down, showing it going through the tunnel, blocking the door. I have to say, the way it is built back here, it's a fairly straightforward and kind of simple idea, but the way the boulder interacts with all these teeth on the grooves here for the gears, it really, it's a very smooth and wonderful process, and it's able to spin and make it seem that it's going at such a speed, which is very satisfying to see as it rolls down. So I have to say this is really fun, so I'm just gonna do it one more time and just let it go. And whoop! I have to say that makes you feel like a little kid when you see it rolling down, and it is a great play functionality. Now the overall build, before we continue on to the middle section, is fairly straightforward. Each section comes with its own platform where you start from the bottom, you then build some of the back wall, and of course integrate any moving pieces, which isn't too many. Nothing here is complicated when it comes to building, apart from maybe the third and last section, which we'll get to. There was a tiny bit of a difficult section at the very back when you were trying to connect some of the Technic moving pieces, but otherwise even the moving boulder, it's fairly straightforward, nothing too complicated, and it's definitely not something that is out of the reach for most people. I think most people should be able to get the hang of what they need to do to get this moving and have a nice smooth process. So overall, the front section is probably one of my favorite, just for the simple fact that the actual movement and smoothness of the boulder is just fantastic, and it really stands out, and it's able to replicate that wonderful scene that we get in the movie in such a fantastic way. Now technically we're moving to the middle section, but just before, even though it is built on the part 2, we do have this wall that's kind of jutting out, and it's a bit difficult to see from your end. We do in fact have another twisting knob, which gets us a door. If you remember, one of the concrete doors kind of falls down, and I believe this is where Indy kind of drops his hat as he's rolling through and then quickly has to grab it back and before the door slams shut. So I believe this is a kind of replica of that specific scene, and you can make the door move up with the Technic pieces and of course the twisting knob. You won't be able to see it here. It's a fairly bog standard like grey slab. It does have a nice sticker on it with some sort of design on it. I can't even see it from here. I believe it's like a priest with a helmet and a staff, and that's on the door. So that's what we see here in this section. Now our next minifig is Satipo himself. I decided to just quickly click him up there as it helps show off the actual function here, where you're able to twist the knob down there and make him move back and forth on this rod as they go across the chasm. Now the chasm itself here is fairly bland to a certain degree. It's just kind of black tile, and it's supposed to, I suppose, depict the hole that you can't see the bottom and you don't know where you're going to fall. I don't particularly remember, but I do believe there were supposed to be spikes at the bottom of that trap, and if they landed, they would obviously be skewered by the trap itself. In this scenario, of course, we can't build too far down beyond the base, so what they did was create a black abyss where you can't see where you're going to fall, so it makes it a bit more scary in a sense. And you can make it seem that he's flying across the gap. He does have, I think, 2 spiders on his back. I don't know if he has one on the front. I can't see it from here, but he does have 2 tarantulas printed on his back piece, which is kind of funny and also scary at the same time. If you're an arachnophobe, you definitely do not want to be encountering these huge spiders when you're in the middle of a jungle, that's for sure. In the middle section, we do have an interesting kind of golden wheel here. I can't particularly remember what that was in the movie, if it had any function of them turning it. It is still a nice addition to the set here, and it helps create this mysterious temple. And you never know, maybe if you had twisted that wheel, it closes the trap. I don't really remember if that's what happened, but it is still a nice little addition here, just to make it, not have a blank piece of wall there. Now, of course, we do get to the most important section, which is the last third piece, where we have the golden idol itself. It does pop up here. Now, if I remember correctly, you can twist this knob, and this one is slightly difficult to figure out. I'm not entirely sure if maybe I didn't build it fully correctly, but it does depend on which direction you twist, because I believe if you twist in that direction, you're gonna get the actual statue head popping out and falling down, while if you twist the knob going towards the actual set itself, I think that's when the light will turn on and you'll be able to see the whole scene lit up. Now, I'll figure out and I'll try and do this whole thing for you, but first let's quickly go through some of the details that we have here. We do have the actual golden idol itself, which does move up and down when you're twisting. I'll have to figure out which direction. So it's as if, let's say you accidentally take it off, and if you remember from the scene, there's like a little trap spring underneath, and if there's no weight, it starts to move, which then sets off the entire temple to close out and make sure that whoever's trying to steal the statue is trapped within. We also have some wonderful statue faces that are imprinted on both stickers, and there's 2 of them that are brick built on either side of the main kind of section of the temple, which does add some interesting scenarios where all the faces are looking at the idol to make sure that no one's able to steal it, and in a certain way, once they see that the golden idol has been stolen from its pedestal, then they're gonna get angry and the whole temple is gonna do its traps and make sure that no one's able to escape. Now, before we continue, let me just quickly turn off the lights and show you the light brick before I start messing with the Technic pieces and making the statue fall out, just so that you get a nice, wonderful display of it and how it really lights up this entire scene. So give me 2 seconds and I'll turn off the lights now. We're in the darkness of the night. Not quite, it is still daytime, but here is the wonderful light brick. It is very powerful and quite striking as it lights up that entire area, which really emphasizes the whole golden idol and how important it is to the temple. I have to say I am quite a big fan of how LEGO has created these light bricks to interact with the set, and in particular for this specific one, it really does a great job on highlighting the actual location where the idol is and how important it is to whoever built the temple. I'm assuming it's part of their religion, and how it really lights up that main room. It creates sort of a divine aura around this specific statue, and you have all the faces on the wall making sure to look at it, that it's not going to be stolen, and how important it is. So it's a very cool function and it really adds a lot to this set, and definitely big fan of it. Before we start messing around with the Technic pieces here, just a quick reminder, we do have Indiana Jones himself here. He does have some spider web on one side of his head, and I don't know if he has a spider on him, I can't remember, but it's just to show that he has been moving through the temple itself and spiders have gotten on top of him. And yeah, he's a pretty nice little addition. It wouldn't be an Indiana Jones set without him, that's for sure. And let's get into messing with the Technic sections for number 3. If we twist, so this, I think if I'm twisting that way, it's going to pop out the head. So hopefully, if you take a look just roughly here, boom. The head does fall out when you twist it that way, and it's supposed to symbolize, I guess, the temple being desecrated with the idol being stolen. So if we twist the knob back into this direction, it is supposed to light up the brick, and I don't know if you can see, but the actual idol itself is also moving up when you do that. So it's possible that this is the default position where it's actually up, and then when you're touching and taking the actual idol, the strap moves down with the light turning on, and then you keep twisting and the trap is set in motion by the fact that the head has fallen out, which then of course starts to set off the other booby traps like the rolling stone. So maybe I figured out that the actual default situation for this section is with the idol being all the way up, and you keep twisting that way, you set off the light, and then of course the second twist is for the head to fall out, and then all hell breaks loose as the temple is now trying to stop you from taking the main prize of the idol. Hopefully you've enjoyed this kind of close-up. Let's zoom out a tiny bit and let's go through my overall experience when I was building it and just give you my overall thoughts on the actual set itself. And we are back. I hope you enjoyed that kind of close-up of each section. I did enjoy building this, and it's nice the way it's been split up into 3 sections. Now, when it is complete, you do kind of lock things in, and especially at the back, there's these 2 little white Technic pieces that keeps them together. So if you do intend to, let's say, break it apart by section, maybe just for storage, or maybe you want to display it in a different way, you will have to take a few pieces on the top here and on this section and at the back that's connecting them, as it is at the moment. It's not like there's only 2 pins and you just move it to the side. It does have a bit more integrated when it comes to keeping it together as one set. As I previously mentioned, there was nothing complicated when it came to building, even though there's some interesting functionalities on the back here to make sure that the boulder is able to move forward at a nice smooth process. This section is obviously super easy and nothing complicated there, and Yes, there is quite a bit when it comes to the actual statue here with the head falling out, but overall, if you just follow the instructions, even here it's nothing too complicated. There's one section that you have to connect the top and the bottom at the kind of right height in a sense, but other than that it still is pretty doable for most people, and it shouldn't, give you too much complications. The actual bricks itself are also wonderful to build. It creates a nice, wonderful, stable structure at the bottom, and it is cool that it's not just a straight tunnel. The fact that it's kind of bendy does help visually when it comes to the details, and it just looks a bit better than if it was just one long corridor. The fact that they broke it up this way, it does visually give that impression that it is just different parts of the temple and it's not a long corridor. I don't know if that makes sense. It's in a way, it breaks up the actual barriers, and it does seem like they're taking specific scenes within the temple and sticking them together, and the intent is that it's not just a long corridor that he's going through. Aesthetically, I think they did a good job with the little details of the ferns hanging about and the wonderful statue faces that are built into each section. We do have that feeling that he is going into a very old temple that was long forgotten, but holds, interesting mysteries inside with some wonderful treasures, and it's all nicely put together. It does well when it comes to the color combinations and how everything fits together. I do think they did a really good job on this set, hence why I wanted to say that this was a UCS for the Indiana Jones theme, and it wasn't just a normal set. Now, normally when it comes to set, you kind of have two sections. Either it's something that's designed to be played with and it's for kids, so you kind of don't make it as complicated, and other things you want to create for collectors and maybe an older audience that will keep it as a display piece. I think this actually fits both criterias, and I would recommend it either as a super amazing, Christmas present that you're gonna go and give to your kids. This will be a centerpiece when it comes to gift giving, and it definitely has the ability to be played with, and it's definitely fun. I know there's a few tiny pieces that might seem like, yeah, sure, this head might fall off, for example, but I do think overall this still can be used by kids to play with. And if you're looking to give a super gift, or maybe yourself, you're a collector, this is a fantastic thing to have in your collection, especially with the fact that they included this wonderful light brick, which, as I said, sets the entire scene. And the fact that it also has all these interesting functionalities is just, I think it's just a great combination of both things in one. So I would definitely recommend it, whether you want to give a super gift for your kids, or if you are a collector yourself and want to add something that is just a little bit different than your normal set. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, it really helps us out. Drop us a comment what you think about this set, and if you have any interest in getting it yourself. Make sure to give us a like, it really helps us out. We have plenty more content coming soon. It will definitely be a bit more Christmas related. I know we're going to be doing a Christmas decoration video soon, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to check out more videos down below. We have plenty of playlists on different themes. And I guess for now, until next time, take care, folks.